What up, everybody? It's Pastor G. I am in the house. This is Wednesday, January 17th. Let me see how this goes. Been having trouble out of Facebook, but hopefully today we could get through and keep our connections. I'm very excited about today. I'm excited about today, this January being the incredible start to this new year, 2018. I hope you are excited as well. Thank God for my wife being in the house, Teresa in the house first. Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. This is a beautiful year. I hope this year, again, has gotten off through faith. Your faith is everything. Your faith is everything. Your faith is everything. Everything about your life should be built through faith. Yeah, through the belief that there is going to be a supernatural, a divine intervention from your most powerful, most immaculate God. I cannot even bring the words up to even describe who and what He is. You know, we can in our minds we could try to wrap our minds around who and what He is, but I'm here to tell you that He is much more than I could even fathom in my mind. Now that does not mean that I should not try to grasp Him. That's an everyday journey, is to grasp who He is. But here it is. Here's what's so powerful about this whole statement and whole relationship is this. There's a song. The question is asked, how great is our God? How great is our God? And I think that's an open-ended question, and I want to tell you why. Because the greatness of our God is always open for definition. And why is this so? Because you don't know how great He is until you experience your next level of impossible. When you get to your next level of impossible, when you have reached your end, your limit, your abilities have been exhausted, you have done everything that you can do, He redefines Himself in your life. He says, now let me show you how great I am. But that's not the extent of my greatness. It's just, I will show you at the level of your need. And this is how God is. Every time we get to a place where we have extended ourselves, we at the end of our road, we've done all we know to do. We've called everybody we could call. We've done it all. Then He shows up and says, now let me show you my greatness. So the song, How Great Is Our God, is yet to be defined. It can only be defined by your next impossible. Just like that, my next impossible situation, He'll come in and say, you know what, let me show you, let me give you definition on the next level of who I am. So this is enough right here to even be excited about right there. You have not even scratched the surface. We have not even gotten into the surface scratching of who He really is. We just keep trying. Every experience is another opportunity for Him to show His greatness. Thank you, Joel. Joel Crutcher, thank you for being in the house. Thunder Thumbs, Joel Crutcher, Janice Miller, thank you for being in the house. Pastor Nola Brown, thank you for being in the house. Joey G, bass extraordinaire as well in the house. Marissa, thank you for being in the house. Pastor DJ John, Network of Believers, thank you for being in the house. Renee Romes, thank you for being Network of Believers. Thank you for being Angelita Coleman. I like to acknowledge people because you could be doing so many other things. And I'm going to get into something I think is going to be a word that's going to happen one day. Raina from Atlanta, thank you for being in the house. Happy birthday, Apostle Dennis Cook. Yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Terry Sanders, Dallas, thank you for being in the house. Gabriel Young, thank you. I think you got birthday as well. Happy birthday to you as well. Linda Worsham, thank you for being in the house. Thank you, Miss Network. Thank you for being there. Michelle Dean, thank you. Marcel, I just with Marcel the other day. Thank you guys for being there. Kimberly Bailey, thank you for being in the house. Here we go. I want you, the theme or the title for this particular video, you can go ahead and share this with people. Some people are sitting at the house and they're trying to figure out, man, what am I going to do with myself today? Go ahead and invite them in to Pastor G. Say, Pastor G is on and he's about to say something that I think will help you. So tell them, go in and say, hey, at least 10 people, get 10 people in the house. Now, thank you, Michelle, for being timely. Thank you, Kimberly Bailey. Thank you, Kimberly. for being in the house. This is my niece. Now watch this. Watch this. Let me get into this. The good fight of faith. 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 I want to really unpack something there, because I believe that this is your time in your season. I think if you're on here listening to the sound of my voice, I think it's an indication. I believe that next level of life is here. Next level of life is here. Now, not because you're listening to me, but a lot of things that you hear, for those of you that are specifically on mission from God, you hear things that coincide, or they are confirmational things that there's a next level of life to be lived, and I'm ready. A lot of the things that you've been experiencing, and I'm going to talk about this today. You got to be careful what you are hearing, the content of what you're hearing, and the source by what you are hearing or allowing yourself to consume it from. That is so important in building the proper body, of being in the right place, or constructing the right thing. If you're looking for supernatural exchange, and I believe that you are, it has to be constructed from a certain, there's things that appear to be that are really not. And so definition is coming in this season of your life, because what you have and what you are to do is so strategic in the plan of God. You got to get this. A lot of the things that you have been scuffling with, fighting with, having struggled with, is just an indication that it's time to move on. What's up? My mother is in the house. 83-year-old. I always say that because I'm so delighted that she's in the house. Ida Whitmore. Thank you, Sandra Cole. Now, I made a statement the other day because I couldn't get connection, so I said, let me just write this in, that when you are bad connections, when you're getting bad connections, it's an indication that it's time to move your location. There are certain locations that you're in that you get bad connections. It could be a location that there are people, places, and things that kind of that's very distracting. So now your connection to the source is interrupted. And so what it does, it hinders your being able to download, because I have to be so sensitive to what God is saying to me so that I can hear it very clearly. And, you know, I always say that there was a saying that we should turn down for what? You know, the question, turn down for what? Well, for those of us that are believers, that are strategically moving into the blessings of God, that we need to hear instructions on, we will shift and we'll turn everything down. If you got a phone call that is coming in, you're driving in your car and your favorite song is playing on your radio, and you know that the phone call that you need to receive from a certain entity is so important, because it is important for me moving into new areas, or being upgraded, or getting promotions. I don't care how that song is my favorite. When I'm looking for the phone call and I'm familiar with the number that the phone call should come from, when I see that appear on my phone, I'm turning my radio all the way off. I'm not just turning it down. I'm turning it off. Why? Because the instructions that I'm about to receive from this phone call is so important to the next phase of life that I don't want any distraction from anything that might be my favorite at the moment, or that might bring me pleasure at the moment, that might make me happy at the moment. I'm turning down everything because I need to hear. So this is a season when it's asked, turn down for what? Why? Because I need instructions on my next life. This is very important. Instructions on my next life. Listen to me. This is what we got to get. Instructions come before illustrations come. Very powerful. Before you see the illustrations of God or the manifestation of God, he always sends the instruction first. He instructs before he illustrates. This has been our problem. We danced over the instruction. We had the music playing loud when the instruction came. And now we're asking him for the illustration, and he says, go back and read the instruction, and the illustration will come at you reading listen, Ephesians 3:20 says something very powerful. It says, now unto him that is able to do exceeding and abundantly above all that you ask or think. Now unto him that is able to do exceed. He can exceed, he can do abundantly above all that you can ask or think. Now, here's the key to that passage, the ending part, or the B clause, as some say. According to the power that worketh in you. In other words, he's giving you an instruction to engage the power that's already in you. You are not deficient of the power or the resources or the ability or the gift. The instruction is where the problem comes. We don't get the instruction. This is why we are frustrated, because so many that are listening to me, you know you got the power, you know you got the ability, you know you are gifted in this area, and when I'm gifted and I got the ability and God has blessed me and I don't get the opportunity, then I'm frustrated. Yes, that's what is happening right now. You're packing the power, you just are deficient of the instruction. So now we're listening again for the instruction to engage what we've already been in possession of a long time. Opportunity and preparation, when they meet, opportunity, preparation, or when preparation and opportunity meet, something happens. Watch this. If one shows up and the other is absent, nothing happens. You can have the opportunity, but you're not prepared. Nothing happens. You can be prepared and have no opportunity. Nothing happens. So we're right now getting an instruction for the illustration. Both are about to show up. We're about to see something manifest that we've been dreaming of our entire life. Now here it is, the good fight of faith. The good fight. Thank you to Warner Stevenson for being in the house. Ebony, thank you for being in the house. Paris, thank you for being. Keisha Wilson, thank you for being. Sarah, thank you. Here it is. 1 Timothy 6 and the 12th verse, I think it is, 6:12. Paul says something to Timothy. Timothy is an understudy of Paul. And I want to get this. I want to get this. The greatest fight that you're struggling with right now is with your faith. I've got to believe. Listen, my brothers and sisters, everything is constructed right now, especially through the media and through everything that we're hearing. It's here to rob you of your belief. It's here to challenge your belief. It's here to throw a wedge. Things can't stop you, but here it is. It's throwing a wedge in my belief. I'm gonna say this again. And I want you to get this. I want you to get this, and you need to. This needs to be the foundation by which you build everything on. Right here, I need God. I need supernatural intervention from God. I'm talented. I've been given a lot of gifts. But if I don't have a supernatural, I need God to show up in my life. Yes, because just having talent without having the gift giver, the constant presence of the one that is able to make all things possible. I need talent alone is just not enough. You notice most of the time you go to an event or an adventure that you want to be a part of. If you base it off your talent, you discover that there's so many other people that's got so much more talent than you have. Man, it is stifling how talented people are. So I can't base my life off of my talent. I'm digging a hole for myself. I need God. I need supernatural intervention. I need God in my life. So the enemy knows this, and the enemy knows that I have a desire for the intervention of God. So what does he do? He knows that I have a passion for it. You got a passion for it. So what does he do? He distorts the image. He presents a whole nother package so that we can start going to towards something that looks like God, something that is the scripture says that he presents himself as an angel of light. It is called the acceptable substitutions. That's what it's called. We have accepted the substitution. It was something that looked like God. And this happens when relationship is not in order. When I don't have a relationship, in other words, when I have not heard your voice enough, and I'm not quite familiar with your voice, someone can call me, and if I'm not familiar with your voice, they might say some of the things that you say, and I might think that is you. I might think that until I have maybe invested something that was important to me because I wanted to have a relation, but I just never took the time to develop your real character, your real how you say it. I just based it off temporary or sometimes, just sometime. We were together sometime. So here's the thing with God. If I don't spend enough time in relationship where I can really clearly discern his voice, then the enemy takes the opportunity because he knows I have a desire that's been placed in me by God to desire him, to desire his direction, to desire his outcome. So he says, let me fade or cloud up the picture. Thank you, Lamora, for being in the house. Thank you, Apostle Anthony Bradford and Denver, Colorado. Thank you for being in the house. So here it is. Here it is. We are in a fight for our faith. Our faith is everything. Our faith is everything. So Paul tells Timothy to fight the good fight of faith. But here it is. Everything has been so distorted. We're watching it on CNN, Fox Networks, CNBC. There is an atmosphere that is created that what you think is truth is really not truth. I thought I saw it, but evidently I didn't see it. We are basing everything. There's a new word that I learned last year and into this year. It's called the alternative facts. And that's what the enemy has presented to us, what is called alternative facts. And so much so until we say it doesn't even matter anymore what the facts are. Well, I want to deal with that because we're in a fight. And the scripture says we should fight the good fight of faith. The good fight. As a matter of fact, it says so that we can lay hold on to eternal life, or the life that is eternal. Or in other words, here it is, the life that lives. This is what we want. We are just existing. We want the life that lives. We want the life that is full of supernatural intervention from God. And that's what he wants us to have. But the enemy, there again, he will come in and he'll present himself as an angel of light. And I want to dig into that because, man, this is so powerful. This is so powerful. This is so pivotal. This is so pivotal. There's some people that have been praying for God's move in your life. And it's like every time I get close, it is snatched from me. It is moved from me. Well, here's a sign. Here's a sign that it's probably not authentic. It's probably not authentic. It's probably not authentic. It keeps moving from you. So let's get into that day. Thank you, my brother, Pastor Kevin Riley, for being in the house. So Paul says to Timothy, fight the good. And watch the emphasis on the word. The good fight of faith. The good fight. I want to focus on the good fight of faith, because faith fight is a good fight, especially when you win in the faith. When you win or you have grasped faith. Please stay with me. Please stay with me today. You need to hear this. You need to hear this. You are not as far off as some or something might suggest. You are right at the door. That's why you're here listening. You're right at the door of greatness, if you will. You are right at the door. God's whole plan, make no mistake about it, God's whole plan for your life, please hear me, is that you be successful beyond measure. That's God's plan. I don't care what you experience. I don't care what you go through. I don't care what. At the end of the day, God's whole plan for Jesus, his son, was called redemption. In other words, to get you back to the place of victory. That's God's plan. He wants me back in the place of victory. So if God's ultimate plan is for me to be redeemed, here's what I got to understand. Everything that I experienced in life is for the end cause of redemption. He's trying to get me back. The redemption is to buy back. Jesus' whole plan through Christ was to get me back to the place where I'm living victory. He wants me in a place of victory. That's his whole goal. I know we experience things. There's things said. There's things experienced. There's things. But here it is. The enemy clouds the whole picture. We're seeing. It's interesting. It's interesting right now that we are watching. Please understand something. What we're seeing happen on TV right now through our political system. This is a vivid picture from God showing us as believers the state of the church. Oh, Pastor. Wow, that's heavy. Yes, And I thank God that he's showing us, because once God shows you a thing, it says there's time to work on a thing. Once he stops showing, once he shows the disinterest in showing me myself, then I'm in trouble. So he's showing us a picture right now of the state of the church, where what you thought was real maybe was not real. What you thought you heard in truth was maybe not true. We're at the place that is called alternative facts. And God is saying now that I'm bringing the truth back. It's a fight of faith. It's a good fight of faith. And Paul suggests to Timothy that we should fight the good fight. Thank you, Tracy Smith, for being Paul Campbell, Angelita Boat. I acknowledge people. Thank you, Nikita Fox, for being in the house. Belinda, Jonathan Burke, thank you. Now watch this. Here it is. Here it is. Shane Wilson from Connecticut. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Watch this. The good fight of faith. That's what it is. God is trying to bring me back to a place of success completely. Some people that are listening to me, you may have given up on the big picture and have settled for a lesser picture because it seems like the big picture eluded and you tried over and over and over again. But you got to stick to number one, because God is sticking to number one. God's plan for us was redemption, to bring us back to his original intention. God's original intention is always his final decision. He has not changed his mind about what he promised you. So you're going to have to fight the good fight of faith. When I think about the good fight of faith, I think about, I'm an avid boxing fan. And you know, in the interviews, when a boxer is getting ready to get in the ring, he picked the opponent that is a good fight for him. And his people, who, if they're really smart, they never put him in over his head, because they're trying to build a resume of fights that can ultimately put him in the ring with a real money maker, or the big fight of his life. So I've heard commentators always say that this was a good fight for Mayweather, if you will. What does that mean? Meaning that he's not getting in the ring with somebody that could ultimately really beat him. This would be something that challenges him, but ultimately he's going to be the victor, and it's going to bring great spoils or great gains. Like the last fight he fought against Conor McGregor was a good fight, because all of the signs show that he would win in the physical struggle as well as in the financial area. This is what God is saying to us. We're fighting the good fight of faith. This is very important that you get this. The good fight of faith is one that we win. We know that we ultimately are the victors. It teaches us something in the process, but it does not defeat us while we're there. Now, God gives us things to build, because ultimately he's building you to a place where you're going to go for the big one. If you've been struggling with the medium-sized one, he says, let me give you another area to challenge you, because ultimately I'm taking you to the place where it's going to be called the big one. It's going to be the one that defines your life. Some people are at the door right now of that struggle right now. You've been struggling. You've been fighting the good fight. Now, let me explain something about faith. This is why God is sending so much revelation in this season in detail. Why? Because I got a slogan that God gave me from my church. It says, your level of word determines your level of living. Your quality of word determines your quality of life. If the word is not in detail and specific, then life cannot be lived on the level. In other words, your faith, which should be the foundation by which everything in life is governed by. It's very important. If your word is not in place, your faith is not in place. Just the way it is. So we're fighting a good fight of faith. So in order to even get in the ring to fight a good fight of faith, I've got to have a good word to take into the ring so that my faith can be in place. This is so important that we get this as believers. There's a lot of things that you're watching and you're believing this because your faith is not in place, which is a sign that your word is not in the right place either. So now God is sending revelation. He's revealing himself again to you. Ooh, this is so powerful. Listen, talent wise, I might not be in the ballpark. But when it comes to my gift from God, or what God has invested in me, what God has promised me, that's the thing that's going to make room for me. And I'm going to have a lot of faith when I'm in a room with other people that are so much more physically and seems like they got much more resources than I got. I'm going to have a word that produces faith that allows me to stand in my moment of that's all I got to stand on is my faith. Now, watch this. Faith, listen, good fight of faith. Here's one thing I got to get in definition. Faith is not fact. Now, we're talking spiritual things right now. Spiritual thing. Faith is not fact. You need to write this into your mental psyche. You need to get this in your life. Faith is not fact. Faith is not fact. Now, well, Pastor, what do you mean by that? Well, let me break that down. Hebrews 11:1 says this. Now faith, in other words, now let me explain faith to you. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Watch this. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is not fact. Now faith, watch this, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. There's something that God wants in your life right now that you can't see. You can't see. You can't. You don't. There's nothing that right now I'm experiencing in my life suggests anything of that magnitude. Now I know your spirit is jumping. It jumps every day. It wakes you up, makes it hard to go to sleep, because you get a glimpse of something incredible that's supposed to be happening for you. You get a glimpse. Now, maybe your mind has not been able to wrap around it. It is so large, it's so huge that when you get sometimes you get a picture of it and you say, whoa, wow. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Faith is not fact, because there's a lot of facts that are surrounding your life that are not truth. Now, faith is not fact. So the Hebrews 11:1 said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Watch this. If you could prove something, it wouldn't take faith to believe it. Watch this now. If I could prove something, it wouldn't take faith for me to believe. What are you saying, Pastor? Here's what this is suggesting to you and to me, that what God is about to allow you to create, to introduce, to start, if you will, what God is about to allow you to start has not been seen yet. This has not been introduced yet. This is why it's incumbent upon us to change our thought patterns about our mandates on life, because a lot of times we have been so accustomed to cloning someone that the extent of our dream is really just improving what somebody else has already done, or adding the next step to what somebody, or building a west wing onto a house that is already built. That's been the extent of what we call faith. That's been the extent of the supernatural for us, is that I'm just going to extend something that has already been done. But here it is. Faith is not fact. Faith is substance of things hoped for, evidence of things. If I can prove something, if I can see it, or I can prove it, it don't take faith to receive. If it's already done, it's just me going into what y'all got to get with me here. Y'all got to receive this. It's something that I haven't seen yet. Eyes haven't seen, neither ears have heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men, the thing that God is going to give me to introduce. Those are the people that I'm talking to. You are next in line. But it's going to take a faith fight, because you're going to hear a lot of opposition from a lot of good places. You're going to hear you can't from a lot of credible sources. You're going to hear, I don't know about that, from people that you believe in. Oh, this is so powerful. Watch this. Faith is not fact. If I could see it now, it's probably not going to take me faith to believe it. What God is challenging me with, there's something that I don't see right now. What I'm experiencing, what my spirit is leaping over right now is something I don't even know how this is going to happen. That's why I still say I need a supernatural intervention from a supernatural God that has already carved out my space, and now he's revealing it to me. There has not been a time before now that he has introduced this even to me. So he hasn't introduced it to the world because the world gets it through me. Paul says a very incredible statement. He says, when God saw fit, he introduced me into the world. This is in paraphrasing. But he called me from a mother's womb. He called me from a mother's womb, but it was in his timing that he introduced me to the world. Galatians 1. He introduced me when he saw fit. Now, notice this. The beginning of Paul's life was not evident that he would be the man that write the books that influences what we read and influence our Christianity today. Because of his persecution of the church, because of the things that he done, there was no evidence of him being the man that would construct the scripture by which most of our faith is developed through reading. The early parts of his life had nothing to do with that. That's why he says very clearly that when God saw fit, he put me in position. But he called me from a mother's womb. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that today was the day that he as he did Jeremiah, sanctified me, called me, he knew me, blah blah blah. He says he knew me from my birth before I even entered into my mother's womb. But today is the day that he called me into the ministry. In other words, there's some of you right now, your life has not been has not had any evidence of this level of intervention from God. But don't get it twisted. Don't get messed up. He says, yes, I call you for such a time as this. So now your faith is going to be challenged. So now what the enemy does, he knows that there is something that is about to erupt in your spirit. He's got it. He knows it very clearly. He knows that there's something that God is bringing. As a matter of fact, I should use him as an indicator. Yeah. I should use him as an indicator. Here's the question. Is your indicator indicating? Yeah. There's things that happened through my life that was not a picture of God intervening. But yes, and sir, and yes, ma'am, it was. It was bringing you to the fight. We are fighting the good fight. See, the good fight is a fight that is one that allows you to prepare for the big fight. Yes, the big fight is coming. What is the big fight? There again, Conor McGregor, the fight. I can't even think of his name now. Y'all know the fighter. He was going to get great gain from the fight. Floyd Mayweather. This is a good fight because it's going to be a challenge, but I know I can win with my skill. I know I can win. It's going to bring great gain. So there's been many fights that prepared me for this moment. That's what life has been for you. There's been many things that you've been challenged with. They have been preparing you for this moment. Now, faith is not fact. Let's get back. Faith is not fact. Faith is not fact. Now, faith is the substance hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Get that into your life. Faith is based on truth, not fact. Here's one thing that we've got to know about. Facts change when truth come in. It has always happened. It has always. And truth, you know what? Truth cannot even be improved. Truth is truth. And, the facts always change. I know my life is full of facts. The fact is, this is where I was born. The fact is, this is what I got. The fact is, this is what they said. The fact is this. But when truth comes, it's like going to the doctor and him being very skilled in his education. He tell you the fact is, here's what the x-ray shows. That's a fact. That's a fact. Look at it. It is here. You can see it. Here it is. But the truth says, by his stripes, we were healed. And when I get the truth, it always changes the facts of life. Truth always changes the facts of life. So now we're living in in a time that we're watching TV, we're watching, see, there again, man, Fox, man, if you watch that stuff, it would almost deceive the very elect. It would. It would almost deceive the very elect. In other words, the enemy knows that you have a desire to walk in faith. There's something erupted in your spirit. It's a supernatural thing. He knows that you have a desire for it. So what does he do? He comes and he gives you the acceptable substitution. Yeah, he replaces it, something that looks like it, something that almost identical to it. And if you're not careful, if your discernment through the word is not in place, you're going to go for it. That's why, you know what, God loves us so much, and his mercy is so in place that a lot of times there are things that we could get ourselves caught into that we won't even discover till 5 to 10 to 15 years later that it was just a substitution to the authentic God move in my life. And God is so gracious in this season that he sends revelation that gives us the ability to discern, Here's the important thing. There's a discerner spirit. This is a season for the discerner. And discernment only comes from your word level. Your level of word determines your level of living. Quality of word determines quality. Your discerning comes through your word, through your revelation. This is so important that we get this. Now, watch this. I'm going to make a statement that I made before, because here it is. We're hearing so many theories. We're hearing so many people that are questioning the word of God. You send it on social media. You send it on. Now, here it is. Paul is speaking to Timothy. He's telling him, Timothy, you're going to fight the good fight of faith, lay hold on eternal life. But then he goes on to tell him, be very careful, because there are some that are right around you that are men of reputation that is distorting the truth. They are in error. Oh, this is so powerful. This is so powerful. This is why we're seeing on TV things that we thought was truth was not. We find out that it's not truth. The enemy is trying to set up something that we don't know what to believe. Well, I'm here to tell you, the believers that are in the word will have no problem, because this word will give you the discernment. What we're seeing in Washington right now is a picture right now. God has given us a vivid picture of the church. And he says, I'm giving you a picture to change it. As long as I'm showing you it, you have the ability to change. That's what he's saying. So what I thought was truth, not true. Whether there's alternative facts and this, no, it ain't what I thought it was. And you can say what you thought you knew, but you don't really know what you're saying. So that's the really the essence of the body of Christ. This is why God is raising up, is bringing up men and women of God that are going back to the truth again. Here it is. Here, the truth again. Watch this. Paul says this. Paul says, everything that I've gotten. He says it in Ephesians 3, Galatians 1. He says everything. Paul, who was indeed a scholar. He was a very learned man who studied under the great Gamaliel, who was a rabban, who was higher than a rabbi. He was the highest of the Sanhedrin, Gamaliel. But here's Paul at the age of 13. He goes study under the great Gamaliel, and then he exceeds him in knowledge. But here's the powerful thing about what Paul says in Philippians. He says, he says, I am circumcised on the 8th day of the tribe of Israel. He says, I'm from the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew, of Hebrews. As touching the law, I'm a Pharisee. In other words, when it comes to secular education and the system, I am the greatest, or one of the greatest. But when it comes to me getting into revelation of what God is doing in this season, I'll sell it all for a nickel, because I want to be included in what God is doing now and not base it off what I have learned. Here's the thing. God will never be discovered. He will only be revealed. And that's why you should grab a hold of faith right there, because he's revealing himself. He's going to take the foolish things of this world to confine the wise, because his best move is about to be made. Here's the thing. We're in the fight of faith. It is determined by what we are hearing. Hearing. It is determined by what we hear. So Romans 10:17 is a very familiar passage of scripture. Romans 10:17, it says, so then, faith cometh by hearing. Watch this, very powerful, very powerful. I want to unpack this because we got to get this. So then, faith cometh by hearing. Hearing. Watch this. Hearing by the word of God. Here's what we got to understand about that passage of scripture. Faith is not proprietary to God. Every time we think about faith, we think about a God moment. But Paul is saying something very powerful if we read it slowly. He says, so then, faith cometh by hearing. Here's what I got to understand about this passage. Faith is something that is developed by what you hear. So here's the key. If I am hearing CNN, if I'm hearing Fox, if I'm hearing CNBC, here's what happened. I develop a faith in what they are saying. Ooh, I thought it was just talking. No. It says, so then, it says, get it clear. Make sure you understand that faith coming by hearing. If you're going to develop faith, it's going to come by what you heard. If you are hearing the news outlet, you're going to develop faith in what they are saying, and you're going to be screwed up. So it says, but if you want to develop faith in God, so then faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. In other words, to build faith in what God is saying, you got to hear the word of God. You have to limit yourself to hearing the thing that you want to build faith in. This is the most incredible thing that ever. This is what we got to do. I cannot hear men speak words and consume myself with these words and think I'm going to believe God afterwards. No, that doesn't happen. So then, faith cometh by hearing. Whatever you hear, that is what you're building faith in. But if you want to have faith in God, hearing by the word of God. In other words, channel your hearing to the word of God, and you will develop faith in what God is saying. This is very powerful. So if my faith come by what I hear, who do I hear more than anyone else? I hear myself more than I hear whether the conversation is audible or internal. I hear me more than I hear anybody else. This is why it's so important that my mouth lines up with my spirit. I cannot say idle words and believe that faith will be developed in me. Oh my goodness, this is the greatest challenge right now, because we are saying so much out of our mouth that don't line up with what God is doing. I am the voice agent of God in the earth. My words have power. If I speak the word out of my mouth, even if I'm playing, then the angels are on standby to hear what comes out of the temple of God. This is important. This is important. This is why death and life is in the power of the tongue. I've got to be very careful that I speak life, because if I allow death to come out of my mouth, it's going to be death. And I'm going to be trying to figure out what happened. How did this happen? Because I spoke it out of my mind. So then faith cometh by hearing. I'm going to develop faith in whatever I hear the most. But if I want faith in God, I've got to hear the word of God. I've got to speak, because I hear myself more than anybody else. I've got to speak the truth of God concerning me. It only comes from his scripture. So important. So important. So important that I get this. Bitter and sweet should not flow from the same mountain. Well, Pastor, you need to unpack that. Thank you. Thank you. I will. You don't speak the goodness of God 1 minute and then turn the next minute and start speaking the curses of God. Okay, well, let me dig a little deeper. Here it is. For the people that are people of faith, I can't speak of the blessings of the future of what God is about to do and then watch TV and say, what are we going to do because Donald Trump is in office and he's making these crazy moves. I want to express this with all sincerity and you got to get this. I can't say that I have faith in God and I believe that my future is secure in God, and then out of the other side of my mouth say, man, what are you going to, he's taking us all down. We are all about to die. Hard times are coming because he's making a decision. Bitter and sweet can't come from the same. Either I'm going to choose to believe God or I'm going to choose to believe Donald Trump. I'm going to choose to believe the system. There's no two options here. I got one or the other. Now, I can say that I believe God and I can talk about, there's no two options here. I'm fooling myself if I say I believe God and he is the God eternal and he's got my life in his hand. He knows tomorrow. He holds the future in his hand, and then say he's for my good. Say all things work together for good to them that love him. He's working things out in my favor. I don't have to worry because God got this. Why pray and worry? I can't say all those things. And right after I get through saying that, say, now, that times are about to get tough because, what is he going to do? I can't. It doesn't make sense. It's either one or the other. Here it is. I have a disclaimer. Anybody knows me, I got a disclaimer. This is not me telling you what you better do. This is just me saying, here are the options. You're going to have to choose one. Either I'm going to believe God. I'm going to fight the good fight of faith. I'm going to hear the word of God. I'm going to believe what he's saying. Or I'm going to believe what the world is presenting to me. I got one or the other. They will not be mixed. They are not going to be mixed. And see, what God does is he allows you to make the choice. That's why he says in the book of Deuteronomy, he says, look, I call heaven and earth this day against you. In other words, I'm putting everything here on the table. He says there's going to be a choice between death and life, good and evil. I ain't going to tell you what to choose. The only thing I'm going to say is choose life. It's going to be a choice that you have to make. You're going to have to choose life. You're going to have to choose life. God is not coming in to put your arm behind your back and tell you what you better do. He says, I'm setting it before you. Here's the choice. Now, faith cometh by hearing. So then, faith cometh by hearing. Anything you hear the most is going to develop faith in you. If it's negativity, you're going to develop faith in negativity. That's just what the text is saying. It didn't say that all faith is proprietary to God. There's people that believe everything but God because they're hearing everything but God. So it says, and hearing, or your hearing should be the word of God. If you want to develop faith in God, your hearing should be the word of God. Now watch this. What you say is what you pray. Wow. Oh, seriously? Yes. What you say is what you pray. This is why it's so important to be very careful what comes out of your mouth. Now, some gonna say, man, I don't believe that. Well, that's your choice. But I'm here to tell you that what you say is what you pray. Watch this. I'm gonna show you this in detail. The Bible says this in James 5:17. Elijah was a man of like passion as we, right? Paraphrasing, you go read this. A man of like passion, like passion. It meaning he's just like we are. Yeah, he's human, just like me. Elijah was a man of like passions. Yes. Emotions, just like me. He was a human. Watch what it said. Watch what it said. It says he prayed, and the heavens were shut up. He prayed and the heavens were shut up. This is what scripture says, right? He was a man of like passion. In other words, don't think that he was something outside of your ability to be. He had to have the supernatural power of God, just like I got to have. Now, notice what it says. He was a man of like passion. He was a man just like me. Watch this. It says he prayed and the heavens were shut up. So now if I reference what the James is speaking of, I go to 1 Kings 17. Elijah comes on the scene and he says, by my word, watch this, by my word, there shall be no dew nor rain this many years. Watch this. James said he prayed. 1 Kings, the actual event, said he spoke. What you say is what you pray. Now, what did he speak? What did he speak in James in 1 Kings 17? Well, let me go there so that I can be precise. I love to be precise because you're at the very door of something incredible when you change your mouth. Because your faith, the good fight, comes by what you hear. Watch it. And Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. This is so powerful. What you say is what you pray. This is the most important thing of your life. Your faith, your belief comes by what you are hearing. In other words, your faith, your belief comes by what you are saying. This is why the fight, it's got to be the good fight of faith. Faith coming by what you're saying. You're going to have to change it, what I'm saying, because I'm hearing my mouth has got to line up with my spirit. Watch this. So here it is. He says, there won't be. Now, I thought James said he prayed. This is what I got to get. I got to get this. I got to get this. I got to get this. If I'm speaking it out of my mouth to God, I'm praying. Because what I say is what I pray. Elijah says this. He says, I am speaking because of my relationship with God. In other words, I have a relationship. He says, I wouldn't be able to say this. Notice, it doesn't matter where I come from because the Bible don't give you genealogy. It doesn't say where he came from. It talks about his relationship with God. It doesn't matter what your title, how educated and blah, blah, blah you are. It is determined by your relationship. What does relationship give? Relationship allows me to get revelation. When I get revelation, I don't have to live situation, because when I get revelation, I speak out of revelation and then it changes my situation. Because what I pray, what I say is what I pray. And just like Elijah, James 5 says that he prayed and he saw supernatural intervention. Well, the real account of it said he spoke. And it says, by my word, watch this, by my word unto Ahab, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand. Meaning I'm in relationship with him right now. I'm standing before him. Actually, what I just said out of my mouth is directly from his throne, because I'm in relationship with him. And I'm very careful that I don't say anything out of my mouth that is not coming straight from his throne. And when he spoke straight from the throne through his mouth, immediately he saw the heavens shut up. Ooh, this is so powerful. What I say is what I pray. I'm fighting the good fight of faith. Faith cometh by hearing. I must speak words from God because I hear myself more than I hear anything else. And I have to make sure that I hear more of God's word than I hear of anything else, because it's going to affect what I say. Watch this. Numbers, if you go to Numbers, I think it's the 14th chapter, the 28th verse. Watch this. Watch this. I'm paraphrasing. You're going to go there and read. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to paraphrase. God tells Moses to tell Israel, I've heard what you said. I was listening. Now watch. Here's the important part about the text. Israel was murmuring. That's what the text said. They were murmuring. They was. In other words, I'm speaking to myself. You know, you ever heard like a child murmur something? You say, what? What did you say? You didn't understand what he said, but you got kind of offended because you were speaking under your voice. Here's the thing about your God. He understands. He says, tell him, I heard him. It wasn't even audible, but I heard him murmuring, and I can interpretate the murmur. Ooh, this is so powerful. I know what they said. I already done interpreted what I said. He said, so now tell them they are out of faith because they're looking at a situation that don't look good to them, and they're making echoes based off what they see with their eyes. The fact is they don't see water. The fact is they don't see food. Faith is not based off facts. Faith is based off truth. When I get the truth, the facts change. There we go again. Truth changes my fact. Right now, the fact is what you are trying to accomplish, the resources are not there. That it's a current, it's a fact that if I go to my bank account, I am in trouble if I think that I'm about to accomplish what God dropped in my spirit. My bank account doesn't suggest it. My job doesn't suggest it. Even the people that are in my corner, if I got them all together and they all pool their resources together, we still don't have enough. Listen to me. Faith is not based off facts. Faith is based off truth. Now watch, let me give you some truth here that might defy all of the facts. The Bible says this. The Bible says this in Romans 8, I believe. Romans 8, it says, he that spared not his only son, or his son, he that spared him not, but delivered him up for us all. In other words, sent him to the cross to die for all of us. And we know it is of a truth that he did send him to die. He did do it. It is done. It is a done deal. It is already accomplished. And as so many people say, over 2,000 years ago. Now watch this. He that delivered, he that did not hold back his son, that delivered us up for us all to die the horrible death of the cross. Cursed is the man that died upon the cross. If he did that, how can he not? Why would he not give us all things, or the things that we are needed or pertain to life? I made an illustration. I said, here's the illustration on that. If you are willing to give a friend your kidney, your one of your body, your vital organs, if you are willing to give your friend your kidney, why would you not let them borrow your car? Why would you not let them use your car? The kidney is much more significant in value to me than a car. So in other words, if I let you have my vital organ, I let you borrow my car. In other words, this is what God is saying to us. He's saying to us, if I gave him and delivered him up for your redemption of your life and let him die the horrible death on the cross, why would you think for 1 minute I won't give you the things that pertain to your life? Why would I do that for you? So he's speaking today. He's saying to you, this is a fight of faith. You're going to have to fight the good fight of faith. If you want it, it's here for you. If you want it, you're going to have to improve your revelation. Listen. There is a fight against the truth right now. My time is extended. It is up. There's a fight against the truth right now. So Paul tells Timothy to fight the good fight of faith. Now, let me end by saying what he ends up telling Timothy. This is going to be very important because right now we're seeing so many things that defy or won't allow us to walk in faith, and we're hearing it everywhere. It's here to rob us of our faith. It's here. Faith is not based off facts. Remember, faith is not based off facts. It is based off the truth. The truth of the matter is, I got to get into God's word again. The enemy has robbed us of that. He says, no, what? Don't make that. Just live it. Just see what happens by chance. Let it happen. If it happens, it happens. If it don't happen, it don't happen. Then just be content with whatever you got and whenever. No, what we are believing is that God, I just read to you, if he did not spare his son, but delivered us up for us all, how shall he not by him give us all things? You know what 2 Corinthians 8, the 9th verse, I think it is, it says that he that knew no sin, he delivered him up for us, or he left his throne. He that was rich The text says he was rich, but gave it up for our poverty, that became impoverished so that I can become rich. In other words, he wants me to have this. He wants me, but he says you got to fight the good fight of faith. You're going to have word that develops your faith in me. And at the development of your faith, at the development of your word, or the development of your hearing, I'm going to release higher levels of me to you. Watch this. He tells Timothy this, and I'm ending after this. This is First Timothy 6, 1 Timothy 6 and 20. It says, O Timothy, watch this, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. What is committed to his trust? The truth, the word. Keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babbling. Here's the most powerful statement ever. Watch this. I'm going to unpack this so that it gives you freedom, because you are having too many arguments and discussions with people that are not interested in what you're saying. This is what the enemy does. He brings up things to start arguments or to start confusion about things that they are not even interested in at the end of believing. Watch this. He says, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babbling and oppositions of science. Watch this. Oppositions of science, falsely so called. Watch this. Opposition of science, falsely so called. Let me unpack real quick. Remember, faith comes by hearing, and if you want to believe in God or faith in God, you got to hear the word of God. Here it is, Paul telling Timothy, there are some conversations that you are indulging in, and I know it's your heart trying to make people believers, but he says they are not trying to believe. They are trying to bring in what is called, he says, avoid profane and vain babbling and oppositions of science, and people that are trying to discover God through education. God will never be discovered. He will only be revealed. This is why are you saying this, Pastor? Because God is trying to get you back to the place. There is such great destiny that he has promised you. And we have allowed ourselves to play at 50% of what God. This is the frustration of your life. It's not people, not places, things. It's you not playing to your full potential and maximizing what God created you to be. And that only comes when your faith in God is developed to the level where you can see him clearly, because God built you for, man, incredible things. I mean, such incredible. We get caught up into so many other things because we hear so much rhetoric. And so what it does is it distorts our truth about God. What his plan is for our life. What he really wants. If you can trust God, if you can fully commit to God, there's nothing good that he withhold from you. There's nothing good that he withhold from you when you can trust. So he's telling Timothy in this text, make sure, he says, Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. What is committed? The word of God concerning you. Keep that, commit that. Don't let anything distort the truth of God about you. People will. Situations will. Notice what he says. Avoid profane and vain babbling. Don't listen to things that is not conducive for your faith being built in what God has already called you to be. Is what he's saying to Timothy. He says, babbling and oppositions of science, falsely so called. In other words, there are some incredible theories that make sense to the intelligence of man, but he takes the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. In other words, God would never be discovered. If you're trying to find God through the discovery of man or through the intelligence of man, you will miss it every time, because it'll never make sense. What makes sense, and in other words, if I'm intelligent enough, usually I have the most influence on people, because everything is based off intelligence. That's why the scriptures say that we ever learn but never come into the knowledge of the truth. Faith is based off truth. It is not based off facts. It's based off truth. We will never discover God. He will only be revealed. This is why Paul says, the greatest scholar of the New Testament writings, he says, I am the most educated of men. I have followed all of the rules of my Jewish doctrine. I did everything. I am a scholar because I studied under the great scholars. But to apprehend that which God has called and placed on my life that allows me to walk in what is called supernatural, I put all that away because God will never be discovered through education. He will only be given to me through revelation. And so he says, Peter, be very careful. Timothy, be very careful, because you're not careful, you're going to start indulging in intelligent conversation, and your desire to be accepted by the intelligent is going to cause you to start listening to things that you should never be listening to, because it robs you of your faith, because your faith does not make sense in an intelligent world. Because most of the things you're going to get, if you look for the facts to prove it, it is not going to be relevant. I'm about to do something for you that eyes haven't seen, neither ears have heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of man. But it's going to take faith for you to believe that I'm walking into something that nobody else has ever been privy to but me. That's what God is trying to get into your world. The 21st verse says, "Which some professing have erred concerning the faith, but grace be with you." He says people are trying to find God through education, and he will never be discovered. He will only be revealed. This is why we're having so much discussion about so many different things. And when it comes to your education, is not the pre-qualifier for revelation. As a matter of fact, it will allow you to see and think some things that is as far from God as oh man, as you. The 2 Timothy 2:15 is very powerful. It says, "Study to show yourself approved." Show thyself approved, a workman that needed not be ashamed. And it says, "Rightly dividing the word of truth." Rightly dividing the word of truth. That is so powerful right there. The rightly dividing the word of truth is so powerful. Maybe I'll teach on that next. But watch this. The next verse is what the power verse is. The 16th verse says, it says, "Shun profane babbling." What is it saying, Pastor? It is saying that only gender a strife or leads into iniquity. What is it saying? You are trying to impress upon some people, and it wasn't given to you to even go there with them. If they're not asking, seeking, and knocking, you are trying to impress upon somebody that is not willing to hear, and their heart is not open to hear. And so now, if you try to tell somebody something that they're not interested in, what does it become? It becomes profane babbling. In other words, you are babbling, they are babbling. What they're saying to you don't make no sense, and what you're saying to them don't make no sense. So he gives you the right to say, I'm only going to be in the atmosphere of people that believe like me. Woo, that's so powerful. Because if I stay in an area of people that don't, and I keep listening to them, I live in a society or a time where the majority of the majority rule. Maybe if I get 10 people that opposes me, I'll start believing what they believe. That's all they say, because faith cometh by hearing. Man, this is so powerful. So he says, be careful what you allow yourself to hear, because your faith is developed through what you hear. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says it so powerfully. It says, "Evil, be not deceived, evil communication corrupt good mannerisms." In other words, if I'm around it, eventually I will start acting like it. So we are fighting the good fight of faith. My time is out, and I haven't even gotten to scratch the surface of what I was really trying to say today. But that's all good. We got Friday, 12 noon. Listen, here's the moral of the story. Here's the bottom line, if you will. The moral of the story, bottom line, is this. We should fight the good fight of faith. We should hear the word that suggests to us that there's something that God is trying to get into our lives. There's a due order for him to get it into our lives. Many people and the enemy is going to present themselves as the angel of mercy, angel of light, and they're going to try to give you the acceptable substitutions. But if I don't hear the truth, all of the facts are going to stack up against me, because of my background, because of who I come from, because of the resources of that. I always be at the back of the line if I base it off facts, because there's too many people that's got so much more than I got. But the truth is, Whatever God has called me from day one, what he presented to me before I entered into my mother's womb, it is still his desire for me to accomplish that in full. It's still his desire for me to maximize. I don't care, in other words, where life has caused you to land. God is still saying, get up and come and hear me again. Let's start all over. No matter where you landed, I am going to reintroduce the plan to you in detail so that we can get back to the work of being the best you that you can be. That's all he's saying. I am into redemption. I am into bringing you back to my original purpose. You got off. We got off. There's some things that we heard, things we got caught up into. We might have want to be popular. We might have used words out of our mouth that is not becoming us. But that's what happens when we start hearing and start operating in other areas. Amen. Let's pray together. Father, thank you right now. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this word. We're fighting a good fight of faith. Our faith comes by what we hear. So it's incumbent upon us, Lord, to hear your word as often as possible. The truth of your word. The truth. You said also in your scripture that the letter kill it. Meaning that me just getting anywhere and just hearing just because someone is reading it does not mean that the spirit is there that brings life. Let it kill it, but the spirit make it alive. So I've got to be very particular about how I hear and what I hear. And so Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for everyone that is listening. Thank you for bringing them into the place of maximizing what you call them to do. God, I pray that the confusion would stop and the truth would come alive. And if I'm not careful, God, I'll listen to things that are not conducive to me being built up in you. I will listen to things. It'll confuse me. It'll have me wondering about my very creation and existence. But I listen to you again. You will never be discovered. You will only be revealed. And I thank you for your revealing power. I thank you for your word. I thank you for the healing of those that are listening to me. I pray that you heal them as well as their loved ones. Heal their children that are sick. I pray that your healing virtue would invade each house of those that are here. Thank you for the resources that you're placing in people's life right now that need you more now than they ever needed you before. I thank you already. We decree that in their life as well. We give your name praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. I'm excited about today. Faith, fight the good fight of faith. What God is saying is if you can hear in his word, he's already got the power to perform. Your part is believing. His part is performing what you believe. And I think that's a great deal for someone to tell you, if you can believe it, I can do it. There's not many that can tell you that, but he is the one that says, you believe it, I can do it. There's nothing that is impossible for me. And he loves it when you come to the place of your impossibilities, because you're at the end of yourself. Whenever you get to the end of yourself, you are at the beginning of your God. And that's what he wants. Love all of you guys. I love all of you guys. Please, please, please pray for your brother, pray for your sister. Spread the word, if you will. Share this with 10 people. 10 people I need you to share this with. I need you to share this with 10 people. Friday, 12 noon, I'll be right back here again. Friday, 12 noon. For those of you that are in the Little Rock area, I'm at 1111 West 7th Street, downtown Little Rock, straight across from the old Goodwill. I would love to have you as a part of our fellowship. Anybody knows that our fellowship is a different fellowship. We've got a motto at Network of Believers: you can come as you are, but you will leave inspired. Yeah, you will leave inspired. So I'm excited about that. Thank you guys everywhere. Thank you guys everywhere. Thank you, Sarah. New Jersey. Both one and the same. Arena, thank you, from Atlanta. And Arthur, I'm telling you, she's going to have a book come out and it's going to be a bestseller. Marissa, my cousin in ministry there in Dallas area, her and her husband Nolan Brown, thank you guys. Belinda, Curtis, Divine, thank you. The youth pastor at Network, I believe, is doing an incredible job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to my mama, Anitra, Sean. Thank you for being our personal angel. Thank you, Anitra. Pastor Deidre Johns, our sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kevin Langston, Rolette Turner. Thank you guys for being in the house. Jojo Wolford, thank you for so much for being here. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Renee Harris, thank you. I think you're in Las Vegas, one of my classmates. Barry Jeffers, Melvin Woodbury, thank you for being in the house. Crystal Hayes, thank you so much. Mia Banks Stewart, thank you so much for being in the house. Atlanta, I think as well. John Holman. Why do you do this? I acknowledge people because they could be doing so many other things, but they're in the house. Pastor Kevin Riley, my friend. Blessings. Go check out Pastor Kevin Riley's website. He's a psalmist. Go check him out. Linda Worsham, thank you so much. News Network of Believers member, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Latrell Beasley, thank you. I hope I didn't mess up your name. Thank you. Charlisa, thank you for being in the house. Tanya Grace, thank you for being in the house. Apostle Constance Smith Fields, thank you so much. Thank you for in the Florida area. Thank you for being in the house. Nina Roberts, Bishop Stephen Arnold, my friend, thank you. Apostle Anthony Bradford, thank you so much for being in the house. Cheryl Peters, Apostle Victor Wynn, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Remnant, Bishop Arnold is City of Grace. Apostle Victor Wynn is Remnant Church. Our friend Jessica Dallas, thank you for being in the house. Rhonda Gordon, thank you so much for being in the house. Sean Crutchfield, Sean Woods, thank you guys. All right. I just wanted to acknowledge. You guys. Thank you so much. Clinton T. Richardson, to me, Tremaine, thank you for being in the house. Pastor Tremaine, thank you for being in the house. All right. Holler at you guys. See you guys Friday, 12 noon. Please, again, share this with at least 10 people. I thank you so very much. And for those of you that want to give, you can go back to my wife. She's placed an address in there. We appreciate you in advance for that as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you guys on Friday. Holla. Have a great day. Have a great day. Have a great day. That's an order. Have a great day today. Love your family. Love your people. Love on people. Love. Thank you, Pastor Rosewall Murchison, a newly appointed pastor. I think is in the Sweet Home area. I think that's where it is. Thank you, man, for showing up in the house today. Holla. See you guys later.